What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. We are here on a Thursday. It's week 2 already in the OUA. That feels fast. It feels weird to say. I don't know, but here we are. It is. It's Labor Day weekend.
Any week in the OUA. It's
How could I forget?
Weekend, the pinnacle of football. I guess in North America, really. You get NFL is soon to start. College football week 0. Your Michigan Wolverines kicking off with a random quarterback this week and another one next week. But there's some teams in the OUA, Connor, we also have quarterbacking questions. So I guess it kind of fits. We're going to start up week 2. Who do you got first?
Week 2, man. We're going to start it with the start of the week. It's a bit of a weird week in the OUA. We got some Sunday games, some Monday games, but it is Labor Day weekend. York traveling to Hamilton to take on the McMaster Marauders. This is going to be a tough one for York after what we saw last week with them in Waterloo. They're absolutely going to need to step it up. I don't think that needs to be said. I think everybody across the OUA, including York, knows that. I would like to see a little bit more passing out of the York Lions offense. And this is no shot at Noah Craney, but they had 96 yards of passing offense last game. They did have a running back go for 10 carries, 64 yards. So that's great. But you need to find that passing consistency, and you also need to limit the damage of the opposing team. You can't get 40 points hung up on you, especially not playing a good McMaster team.
And, I mean, let's talk about this McMaster team. They are in a close one, week 1 at Carleton. Now they return home. Weeks going on across the province's schools. Andreas Dueck, still a high efficiency passing attack last week. And guess what? He's got a new favorite weapon this year in Jacob Patton. My, oh my, is this first-year kid special, Connor. We saw the punt return. We saw him get downfield in the passing game. Get him more involved if you're the McMaster Marauders, because he is one hell of a weapon. And if you're York, watch out for that pink chrome mouth guard, because it's going to be coming by in a blur.
Certainly will, man. We saw what we could do last week against Carleton with that punt return touchdown. So we'll see what he can do this week against the York Lions. Let's move it on, though. The Queens Gales taking on my Ottawa GGs. A bit of an interesting one here because quarterback situation.
And it's a Saturday night game. You don't see many of those at Lee's Field, right, Connor? But we do have a quarterback situation for the Ottawa GGs. We saw Ben Miracle take the start, and then Matt Mahler came in relief of him in the second quarter. So the big question going into this week, who do the GGs rock with at this time? It could be Miracle. He played last season for them. It could be Mahler. He took reps for them last year as well in the absence of Miracle. So both are experienced. Both have shown command of the offense. It's a big question mark. And when you're going against the Gales, who finished 8-0 in the regular season last year, they don't look like they're slowing down. So for Ottawa, this issue needs to be solved ASAP.
I think for Queens, just before we move on, I think for Queens on the defensive side of the ball in this one, they're going to need to defend the whole field. And that sounds kind of dumb to say, but when you have a kicker like Ottawa, who is as good as Campbell Fair is, he can hit those 40-plus yard field goals. It's a bit more of a difficult task for those younger kickers to hit those 40-yard kicks, but he can do it, and he's proved it time and time again. So Queens is going to have to defend the entire length of the field, as dumb as that sounds to say.
And I mean, let's talk about the bright spots on both the teams. The ground game, JP Simonkinda for the GGs. The combination of the two young backs, Blackman and Souls, for the Queens Gales. I mean, Queens went for 240 plus last week. JP Simonkinda alone went over 100. These teams are built on the ground game, and it's going to be a test to see which defense is stronger against it, because Adam Williams had a good game last week for Toronto. Windsor was able to run the ball decently well against Ottawa. So we're going to have to see which defense is going to break first in the ground game.
And moving on to the next game in this one, the Western Mustangs traveling to take on the Laurier Golden Hawks. No Connor Caracello this year for those Laurier Golden Hawks, but we will get to see the first look at Taylor Elgersma under center for Laurier, who Michael Falls, if you listen to that preview, was very, very complimentary of.
Yeah, he was. But the big thing for this game, no Tommy Bringy. They've lost a couple other defenders along Laurier's front seven. They have a good young core, but they're going against the cream of the crop in rushing attacks, and that is Keon Edwards, Edward Winati, and the Western offensive line. I mean, It's priority number one. Anytime someone sees that purple W ride into their stadium, stop the run. Who's going to be the first to do it? Can anyone do it in the OUA? Laurier is going to take their shot at it this week.
I don't know the answer to who can do it, but I guess we'll leave that up to the games to decide.
My other question, though, is if you stop this massive run game, how do you defend Evan Hillock? He is a great arm talent. He's a young quarterback who's still growing into his own. We saw him connect with Griffin Campbell on a fantastic one-hander last week. So the questions for Laurier defensively is a tall task, but offensively, I think they're excited with their young quarterback pivot.
That caps off our Saturday set of games, but that's not all the OUA games. We are moving on to Sunday. Your Toronto Varsity Blues hosting the Carleton Ravens on Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, it's a top 10 matchup for Carleton as they are ranked after their win over McMaster. The offense ran the ball very, very well with Josh Ferguson last week. Passing game started to pick up as the game went on. Big question, like it was last week for these Varsity Blues. How does their defense handle the run? Ferguson's a big back, 6'3". He's physical. He's got the speed, and he's an asset in the passing game as well for Tanner DeYoung. So for me, the focal point is stopping him. But be mindful that that quarterback can sling the ball around as well. What do you think you want to see from the Toronto Varsity Blues?
I want to see them try to deal with Tanner DeYoung and put some pressure on him, man. They need to get into the backfield. We saw Tanner was clean against Mac last week. They're going to need to get him dirty, get him to the ground, force some pressure, force the issue on him if they want to have a shot at winning the game, because we saw what Tanner DeYoung can do when he gets rolling and has a clean pocket.
And Toronto was in that game against Queens last week until they made some crucial turnovers. So I'd like to see on the offensive side for them, get Adam Williams a bit more involved in the run game, but also your young quarterback, Kinsale Phillip, making his second career start. Can he begin to start limiting the turnovers? Because it's okay, but they came at costly times.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we saw flashes in the pan, but I want to see more consistency out of the Toronto passer. I guess we'll have to wait for the week 2 matchup to see that, though. But let's get to the final game in this one. It's not a Windsor road trap this week.
No, it's a Labor Day Monday game, though, and that's Windsor at the Guelph Griffins. 4 turnovers from the Guelph quarterbacks last week, 4 INTs, 3 of them to Danny Valenti Jr. of the Western Mustangs. Major thing I think both of us want to see in this one. Please limit the turnovers, cut down the interceptions. 4 is a lot. I know you're going against the defending Vanier Cup champions, but 4 interceptions is 4 interceptions, no matter how they come. I really like to see them do that, and I think they have a good shot this week to clean up their game and proceed through the year.
I agree. And I guess I will tack on, I won't say pile on, but I will say tack on to the end of that to go along with the passing things. I think when Sean Law put the ball in the air last week, he did some really good things aside from those interceptions. I just want to see him build on that. And I want to see them find a little bit more continuity in that passing game. And I definitely want to see a little bit of a longest attempted throw or longest completion of 19 yards. And they also had no receivers in the game break 30 yards. I want to see one receiver go off for a big day, even if that's one big play. Sometimes that's what you need. You need those one play splash 85-yard plays. Look at Kean Schaefer-Baker last week for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. You need those types of plays to kind of open up a game.
Absolutely. And I mean, for the Windsor Lancers, no David Adeniran, no Sam Gerard, but that's okay. They found their new man, Mr. Zorn. They've got to lean on him, Connor. We heard Coach JP Cercelli talk about defense, ground game is the foundation of our team. We know it travels well all the time. That's the old saying in football. They are going to have to lean into this ground game. People are going to see what Western did last week against Guelph. I'm sure Guelph saw what Western did to them, and they're going to come out looking to stop the run. But Windsor has to make their presence felt on the ground. It'll help carry their team and make a difference.
No, I totally agree. And I mean, Windsor is one of these teams where they are just unfortunately the quote unquote road team in the OUA. They got the farthest to go on average. And yeah, it's cliche. Yeah, we like to joke about it, but it's also true. Road games and defenses travel. Road games and defenses help you get road wins. So that's why it was so important to Windsor. And I think I think we'll see that displayed this week. I think we will be shown that they're going to play aggressively on defense and they're going to try to run the ball.
Well, that's all. Enjoy your Labor Day weekends. Make sure to tune into OUA TV for each one of these. You can do so. It's free to sign up. You just need your email. And then you too can enjoy all of the action from across the conference as we move through week 2 of the OUA season.
What's on the menu for today?